Hey there, Johnny Gators here with another update on the Tandon hard drive situation. So to review, I have one working drive in one of my four working ComputerLand BC8 computers. Two of them are floppy only. One of them has my working Tandon hard drive. The other one has a working Seagate drive in it. The Seagate drives tend to be much easier to find working, but the Tandon drive is the one I have nostalgia for. Sucks to be me. Um, I had two non-working drives that I had put on a pile to dissect and learn about them and see what I could do to scavenge for parts. So yesterday we did a stream where I received four untested drives from an eBay purchase of $20 each, which if I can get one of them working makes it worth it. And it was not looking good. Two of them have broken ribbon cables in them. One broken out of the box, the other one broke while trying to transplant stuff. But even before that broke, it was not spinning up. That and another one were spinning their wheels, making sounds like they want to work, but not taking a partition properly. Either DOS 2.11 would pretend to give it a partition, but then it didn't see a partition on the reboot, or DOS 3.30 wouldn't even open fdisk to try to give it a partition, even though they were taking low-level formats. And then the fourth one blew a capacitor when we powered it up. I still haven't reviewed that live footage to see if the orange pop was visible on camera or not, because we're gonna have to replay that at some point in time. So that was like and then yesterday we did a whole lot of transplanting boards around. I took the board off the working drive to try to put it on the platters of the other drives, and I could not. It was the same old thing. It would take the low-level format, it would spin up and make the sounds. It would not show as having a partition after taking a partition. And so I didn't stream today because I basically felt like I was kind of stuck and just spinning my tires, getting nowhere. And it was getting a little boring and redundant. But today I kind of, decided, well, let's pull my other BC88 that has a hard drive controller in it out of the basement just to see if a different controller makes any difference. And no, it was giving me all the same things. But that's the one I currently have on the table. So then I decided, well, let's try another transplant. Let's look at that drive that sparked. So I took the board off of the drive that sparked yesterday. I can't find an obvious charred capacitor on there. There's one capacitor that looks like it might have a little slit in it. I need to look at it under the microscope. Either way, I'm going to start figuring out the values of capacitors and start recapping multiple boards and seeing if that helps me revive some of these drives. Because the drives that spin up and don't make grinding sounds, I think are likely to have problems with the electronics outside of the platters. And I think that because I want the problems to be things that are fixable. Really just a pure guess and gut feeling. But this has helped solidify my theory, because we took the board off of one of my two previous bad drives and put it onto one of the other platters yesterday. And it made that platter act the same as the platter that board came off of, which started to make me go, maybe it's not that the platter's given this board problems. Maybe this is a bad board. So I'm like, well, wait, I have a second drive that I don't know what's wrong with it, that kind of spins up, but maybe there's something wrong with the platters and that makes grinding sounds. So I took that board and I put it on the platters of the drive that sparked. And it took some doing to get it to stay powered on boot, which is normal for these drives. When these drives sit for a while, sometimes you turn it on and it tries to spin. The stepper motor makes different sounds. And after maybe about 10 or so tries, it eventually will stay powered on. Once you get it into the groove, it gets more consistent. It seems these drives like to be powered up frequently and work best when they're powered frequently. Even sitting for a year or two will make them seize up, and it takes a little doing getting them going again. But eventually I've got this to a point where it boots pretty stable without a 1701 error and stays spun up. But I could not access any data on the drive, could not get it to take a partition as is. So I gave it a low level format, and I rebooted it, and I went into F-disk, and I gave it a partition, and I rebooted, and I did a format, and well, in the course of telling the story, our progress has taken a left turn. This is still progress, though, because it's further than I ever got. It actually was formatting and was trying to take the format. And it was cranking away here while I was talking. And in the time that I've been talking, instead of saying format complete, you're good to go, yay you, it says track 0 bad, disk unusable, format failure. So that's not looking too good. But actually getting to the point of doing the formatting process, not refusing to try to format the disk, is further than we've gotten before with any of these drives. So there may be some hope to salvage some of these parts into working drives again. Yeah, I blame myself. I shouldn't have streamed being like, hey, I got great news. It looks like we're going to have a working one. No. So close. Gain a little inch. Although I am trying again. And again, as you can see, it is formatting ... And it is, the drive LED is red. So it is trying to format this drive. I might have to do a little more research on the track 0 bad error. Because I would expect that kind of an error to be something that would be checked and detected fairly early into the process, not partway into the process. Foot and right again. Mr. Gators, how's it going today? Progress, but still no good drives out of the batch. I've reached the point of the drive trying to take a format after successfully taking a low-level format. That is where we are. I actually reached a point where before I got to this point, I was thinking maybe there's something I'm doing wrong. Because I don't know a whole lot about low-level formatting. I just follow instructions from the internet. And I honestly don't know if my working Tandon hard drive is a drive I ever low-level formatted. I might not have needed to. I might have just formatted that partition and formatted that as is. I really don't remember. And so I question if maybe I am misunderstanding, and maybe the low-level format process I'm using is good for the Seagate drive, but maybe maybe the command is different for the Tandon drive. I do know that the command I used is for Western Digital, and I guess it works on the Seagate. We're getting some noises there. Good noises, not grinding noises, but it still says it's formatting. So I reached a point where I was going to be like, okay, maybe I need to regroup and pull up what documentation I have for my Tandon drives. I think I have a user guide somewhere for the Tandon drives that I downloaded off of like archive.org or someplace like that. And if anything, I'd like to see if I have a schematic so I can figure out the capacitor values I need without having to take one apart or look at one under the microscope. So I'm going to start trying to figure that out today. But also, I really want to get documentation to the correct low-level format process just to verify what I'm doing is right. Because my gut feeling suggests that there's some common failure point among the multiple drives that are failing to take a format in the same way. And this drive trying to take a format just kind of put a little contradiction into that theory. Oh, it finished. The second try worked. It says it's formatted. All right. Well, let's see if we can install DOS on it. Sys C:. System transferred. All right. Copy command.com C:. File copy. MD space C:/ /DOS. Copy asterisk. Actually, no. A:/C:/ /DOS / invalid directory. Oh, A:// C:/ /DOS / I think / means everything that's in the contents. Invalid. Okay, I'm doing this wrong. Copy. Let's do this the way I know is right. A:// ***, C:/ /DOS ***. There we go. I'm trying to get into the habit of using the shorter syntaxes that would have been technically correct at the time. But typing out the full paths in ***, gets the job done. So anyways, yeah, it looks like I have paired an existing board I had from a broken drive to one of the drives from the lot I bought and have ended up with a working hard drive. That alone has made the purchase worth it. I spent $80. I paired some parts together and I got a working drive at the end, and I still have a lot of other parts that I can play around with and pair together. I think I can get at least one other working drive out of here. So 2 working Tandon drives for $80, hypothetically, will put me ahead. All right, we've copied our DOS system files onto here. Well, I'm at it, because I might actually mount this drive into this tower, into this desktop, instead of the Seagate. Well, the Seagate's more stable. I should probably leave the Seagate in this one, since this one isn't my nostalgia machine. It's just a spare to have something else. It's always good to have a backup set of working parts that's ready to go to test things. Because, you know, like yesterday, I was spinning my tires. Everything else was checking out fine, but sometimes, you know, if you're really spinning your tires and it feels like another common point of failure, you may as well pull out another thing of working parts. Maybe there's something that's not working quite right in the parts you were using. So that's exactly why I have this machine. Yeah, no, I'm not going to leave this drive in here. Actually, this drive's my spare now. This drive is my actually, this drive might become my primary. Because the one I have in there now, I'm finding out that the LED doesn't work on it and doesn't have wires. I'm not sure why it was like that and why I haven't noticed up to this point. But if this proves to be stable, I might just transfer some files onto here and tag this one in as my primary drive on my nostalgia machine and start adding apps and software to it, because I did want to set it up with 211 rather than the 3.30 that's currently on there, to keep it pure to what this would have been from the manufacturer and what it was that we grew up with. All right, now to see if, oh, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put the clock software on here. I'm going to make an auto-exec bat file. All right, this floppy drive's going to give me some problems, though. I might need to swap out that floppy drive. Yeah, this floppy drive is not reading everything I'm throwing in it, and I know these disks read fine on my other machine. So I'd like to fix up this floppy drive, though, because this floppy drive is what most of these computers came with. Not what ours came with, though, but still, this is paired right to this machine, but it's just not working. All right. Well, let's see if it boots. Let's make an autoexec.bat file. Copy con autoexec.bat. All right. We'll make it do a prompt equals $$P$G, and we'll oh man, I really want to get that. Let me try one more time. Oh, that's the wrong disk. I think. Wait, what's on this disk? Oh, let's cancel out of that. RTC. Okay, no, there it is. All right, excellent. Let's copy RTC drv.exe. C drive. Oh, asterisk, go to the asterisk. Oh, the CLS command's working. It wasn't working on that DOS on the other machine. That's weird. All right, so we're going to copy con autoexec.bat. We're going to RTC drv.exe space R space 2026. We're going to prompt equals $$P$G. We're going to colon backslash. Actually, no, I don't think we need that command. We're going to CLS directory /wide Control Z. There we go. One of these disks has the park command on it, which I really want to use before moving this drive around. This isn't it. I found it last night when I was putting things away. Let's see, what is this? That's Norton Utilities. That's DOS 3.2. This might be the disk that has some extra useful files on it. Let's see what's on that. Nope. God, where was that? I know I found that somewhere last night. This is compact DOS. Oh, here we go. What's on this one? I've not been good at labeling these disks. Oh, here. Oh, there we go. All right. Copy park.com. CSIP drive. Come on, big bucks, no whammies, and oh, it's not going to like it, is it? Oh, copied. Okay, it took it. Excellent. So now we can park our drive before we put it away, although we're not putting it away now, but this is a habit I just got into. My dad suggested that this needed to be done anytime before you turn off the computer. Truth of the matter is it needs to be done anytime before you turn off the computer if you're going to move it. If it's going to sit stationary, no biggie. But I don't think it's a bad habit to be in, because then you could not worry about thinking about that anytime you're going to move the computer. All right. Putin writes in, so the disk was empty. The disk was unreadable in its state it was in. It was likely not empty, but it was likely either the data had deteriorated over the years of sitting in storage to unreadable, or it was formatted in a way that my controllers can't read. So now it is empty, other than the things I just put on it, which is a hopefully working bootable DOS installation. So let's see if this all worked out fine. It's going to boot to DOS 2.11. It's going to set the date and time properly. and it's going to leave me with an operating system with no games or fun things installed, because I need to get that stuff onto the drive. Oh, there we go. It is booting. It's setting the date and time. I accidentally fat fingered the prompt command, and CLS is again not working. That is weird. CLS worked when I booted from the floppy, but when I boot from the hard drive, CLS types out a back arrow, open bracket, 2 capital J. I'm going to have to Google that. Futin remembers having to use DOS on his Packard to launch games like Quake 1. Oh, yeah. Yeah, back in the day, that was a good game. I remember my uncle describing it to me as it's like Doom, but better. You can look up or look down. And, you start the game and you had the command, you can look up, you can look down, which you couldn't do in Doom. And then you went on and you played Quake and you never really needed to do that. But those things are cool. They were groundbreaking games of their time. Man, I haven't played Quake in forever. All right, so I'm going to fix my autoexec bat file. All right, we're going to do rtcdrv.exe space r space 2026 prompt. Make sure we get that P in there equals $P, $G. We're going to give up on the CLS command for now until we figure out why that's not working right. And I'm just going to do a directory. All right. Now let's do this one more time for good measure. Oh, and we should verify that the date and time actually did set properly. Putin writing, yeah, Doom was just arrow keys. That's it. Yeah. It was, but I remember the thing that was like shocking and memorable about Doom was that you could get a chainsaw as a weapon and just literally like that was something that's like, whoa, chainsaw? Take a chainsaw to the enemies? That's awesome. I don't know if my parents quite agreed with that, but all right. Now it looks like it's setting things correctly. So yeah, if I type date, it says the current date is Sunday, June 7th, 2026. All right. So everything is working on this drive right now, pretty stable. So there we go. All that work, and we managed to, and this proves the theory that you can transplant a board to a set of platters among these drives, and they will work together if the parts are good. Because being that I've not successfully gotten that to work, I started to wonder if maybe there was some calibration that needed to be done in order for a board to pair properly to the platters. I didn't see anything that indicated that there was easy adjustments to be made or ways that they were fine-tuned. But until you get it to work, one of the theories that'll kick around your head is maybe this process isn't meant to work or it doesn't work for some reason. But no, this has worked. So I'm going to leave these parts together and take this sparked label off of the drive, because that is no longer the drive that sparked. That is the platters that were attached to a board that sparked. And I guess I'll have to put this on that board just to keep track of that. So I'm going to do today, I'm still going to pull up some documentation on my drive, see if I have a schematic, maybe doubtful, but maybe the service manual or user manual for these drives includes a schematic so I can figure out what capacitors I need. I'm going to try to get in an order of some tantalum capacitors this week, and maybe next weekend I could actually do a little desoldering and soldering and see if I could get. The thing is this is a working drive that I could now try to attach other boards to confirm whether or not boards work. Although I want to be very careful about that because I've already broken one of the fragile orange ribbon cables on one of these drives from removing and swapping boards around. And if I damage the ribbon cable on this drive, I've damaged a working drive beyond easy repair. And I do want to get to a point where that is something I can repair. I don't know if that's feasible or what it would take. So I'm actually like, part of me is like, I could use this for testing, and part of me is like, I should put this to the side and never touch it in that way. That sounded wrong. So maybe I'll fiddle around with other parts, see if I can get a third working drive before I start fiddling with working drives. I don't know yet, but my next step is to buy some capacitors. So anyways, yeah, I don't know if we're doing a Dune and Johnny show today. I'm waiting to hear from Dune if it's a yay or nay. He said it's most likely a no-go this weekend for him, but he'll let me know. And I don't know if I'm doing a show tomorrow because Mars has indicated he might not be around tomorrow, and I've not heard from Brian in a few weeks. And he did show up for a show after doing his little hiatus, but then he disappeared for the next few weeks, which indicates to me that his hiatus isn't quite fully over. And honestly, I don't know. I understand Brian being bored with the show. I understand my show being kind of in a rut. And then when I try to do different things like this, I don't know if this makes for good streaming. So I don't know. My show, hey, me and Mars are still having fun. So as long as Mars is around and we're just having fun chatting, whatever's going on, and Brian's not happy with that, that's probably the state of the show for the however long it takes for Mars to get bored with it. But sadly, the days of NHB radio are behind us. And I don't see myself ever getting to a point of having solid double-digit viewers. I'm just not that kind of streamer. And that's okay. I've had fun doing this the way I've done it for as long as I have. Futin asking, how big is the drive on that? 256 megabytes? Oh, that's cute. 20 megabytes. A whole big 20 megabytes. Which my compact portable that's older than this has a 10 megabyte drive in it. So that's twice as big as the compact. Ready to get that sucks no one showing up. Yeah, well, it's life. That's life. There have been a few times among doing my show that I felt like it was time to transition away from it, that I've been doing this for too long, but something keeps pulling me back in. So I honestly am reaching a point now where I don't know how much longer I can really justify the weekly show existing. At this point, it's a weekly hangout sesh with Mars and Brian that is public. And Brian's attitude towards it is, I'm happy to be friends with you and happy to chat with you and catch up. I don't need to do this weekly, thing just because. I'm paraphrasing. And I get where he's coming from, because, yeah, it's turned into, but my point is that if we don't, Brian and I will probably go months and years without talking because we don't work together. We don't live near each other. We have no reason to really correspond. But it is fun to just catch up for no reason periodically. So I don't know. Maybe I've toyed with the idea of maybe turning it into a less frequent stream. Or maybe Brian's appearances will be less frequent. The thing is I'm not bored showing up every week. Mars isn't bored showing up every week that he can. And so that's the reason right now that the show still exists. is because me and Mars still enjoy hanging out and chatting with each other on a weekly basis. If anything changes that, the show is probably going to fall apart. Um, that doesn't mean I'm done with streaming, though. Actually, I was quite excited about the idea of trying to bring back past NHB staff members for interviews and hanging out and reminiscing, especially since we have that new automation or that group uh, on that what's the Discord with the stuff. So it seems that there is still a following that is, you know, a fan of what we NHB accomplished back in the day, and I think there's room for certainly. I've told my stories multiple times to the point that they're putting Brian to sleep every time I tell them again, and I'm running out of new angles to put on those stories. Although, this past Monday I managed to revisit a little bit of the Lisa saga and the eBay fiasco. Um, uh, and Putin also misses NHP radio. So Vamp said he would come on and do a show with me. But he was busy and needed to get settled down with some changes and things that are going on. So I need to reach back out to him again at some point and be like, "Hey, dude, thanks for the coins." I transferred an 8-track tape for a client of his, and he sent me a gift card and some vintage coins. And so and a thank you letter that was very hard to read. he missed his calling as a doctor. So yeah, I need to catch up with him again, and I'd like to get him on. I mean, heck, when's the last time we've heard from him? And some of the stories he could probably tell of his years doing the show. Heck, his show ended up being used as evidence in a lawsuit. uh, And I don't know if we ever went into the full details of that story, and I don't know how many of the details we can go into. But that was one of his co-hosts was going through a bad divorce at the time, and I guess he was a little loose with the lips on an episode of the show, and so the ex-wife somehow decided to use that as evidence against him, and Vamp, once that was said and done, I think Vamp was very amused by the fact that his show had now officially been entered into court records as evidence. And I'm hoping to, just kind of get people to come on and be guests and talk about their times with the show. See, heck, I'm just thinking of names off the top of my head. It'd be great to get Damon to sit down and do a little interviewer thing, but I know he's got a lot going on in his life, and he doesn't always look back at the past with in a positive light, but sometimes he does. I might be interesting to see. I wonder what Zane McFate is up to these days. He was always a pleasant person to interact with. If I could track him down, it'd probably be fun to catch up with him. Oi, the drama still floats around on the internet, and I think he's dabbled with doing more content creation type stuff. We got to see if we could track him down for an interview. So there's a lot there I can do with my little stream to generate more original looking back content than just my weekly recollections and rehashing of my own stories over and over again. Getting an LOL at that 20 megabytes and 10 megabyte. Yeah, well, apps were a little bit smaller back then. I mean, heck, each of these floppy disks holds less than a meg. I mean, they're capable. The tech got up to 1.2 meg per floppy, but that was later floppy drives that would do it. These drives, heck, I think there's different formats for these. Check. I think this is like, well, let's see, we got 232 meg free, and we're holding another 125. So yeah, 360 something, I think, is what a floppy disk holds. Not meg, K, 360K. So, I mean, you could hold several, the contents of several of these floppy disks onto one hard drive. And keep in mind, back in the day, it was typically you had a few of these with floppy disks that you would put in. So to be able to take these and put them on the shelf and have the stuff that you use day to day on a hard drive, 20 meg was very worthwhile in the day. It's a bit of a joke now. Let's see. Foot writes in, Damon and his crew, you and your crew, Sloan, Dune and Bob. Yeah. I don't know. If Sloan would take my calls. We weren't on bad terms. We were on good terms when we last talked, but we were never chummy or buddy. Yeah. But his personal Facebook account was Facebook friends with me for a period of time. And then one day I noticed we weren't. So you know how that happens. Every now and then people go through their friends lists and do purges. If it's like, I don't talk to this person, who is this person? And apparently at one point during Sloan's friend list cleaning, I didn't make the cut. And I don't blame him, because we really don't talk. And that's, anyways, on that note, this is a success. So I'm going to park that drive and power down. So this is a good drive. Will it be good long term? Don't know. Anyways, we're going to wrap up the stream. Likely there won't be a Dune and Johnny show today, but stay tuned. There might be. There's a chance of it. We're not 100% sure. And I don't know if he'll be on Monday, but if not this week, I'll probably be back next week. Then again, we are entering summer, where I am going to be doing a lot of weekend traveling stuff. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in. And Futin saying, you have a good and sir. Take care. Thank you, Futin. You take care too. And goodbye.